CMMS Radio talks about all things CMMS, computerized maintenance management software, focused on maintenance management. It's the people, the process, and the culture that make your CMMS journey a success. Let's meet Amelia Clower. She's with Allied Reliability. We recorded this at the Streamline Asset Management User Conference in Greenville, South Carolina, back in February. Enjoy.
Finally, get you on CMMS Radio. We've got some sound bites, and I met you last year. I might have met you the year before that in Orlando when we were at Reliable Plant. That was cool, but you're so busy. And one of the things I wanted to talk to you about is when I see you engaging with people, you seem to be, and we've talked about this, so that kind of feeds what I'm going to ask you. You seem pretty attuned to what people are talking about, what they're really after, and you also know how to disengage when it's not quite time. So can you share a little bit about that insight? Because I think it's really important when we're talking about maintenance and reliability, and of course asset management, that we're not just jamming stuff on people. So what do you got to share about that?
Yeah, I mean, I just try to remember that first of all, I know nothing compared to some other people in the industry, and I've only been doing this for 4 years, and I don't have the years of experience on me, but I can't assume that the person that I'm talking to knows exactly what Allied really has to discuss or what we bring to the table. So I think that's why I start just kind of, well, I could, throw 4 million things at you, but let's just have a general discussion as if this is our first time talking about reliability. Like, what is your actual issue? What keeps you up at night? What are your challenges? Instead of me, talking for 5 straight minutes without even asking the person, what are they dealing with? What is it that brought them to this show? Why are they, looking for a solution?
Yeah, so it's kind of like asking the right questions and then kind of listening because you have 2 ears and 1 mouth.
Yeah, I could always be a better listener. I mean, there's definitely times when our attention spans these days are just, we have a million things going through our brains at one time and constantly entertained. So I know it's hard for me. It's probably really hard for a lot of people, especially if they're in a plant environment. So I know that these people don't have, 10 minutes where they want to sit and hear someone talk. It's hard for them to sit through a classroom setting during training or whatever it may be. So they come to these conferences and it's hard for them to sit and hear someone talk. So they're usually up, they're moving around, they're running around the plant, they're fighting fires, they're reactive, all day long. So I just try to keep that in mind because I know I start to get antsy when people are talking at me and not with me, and it bothers me, so I never want anyone else to feel that way.
Yeah, well, I mean, it just goes to show that no matter what we're doing, no matter what we're selling, no matter what we're solving, when it comes to the problem, we got to stay really human about it and kind of intentional, and there's kind of an art. You got to be self-aware. So at Allied Reliability, I'm assuming that you get a ton of mentorship from everybody, and also do you get into those plant environments and get the same thing from like the people you're trying to help? They're like teaching you stuff?
Yeah, I used to travel a lot more when I first started with Allied to get to some sites. I actually had my very first site that I traveled to was in Paris, Texas, and it was a very interesting experience because I flew out on Sunday morning and I was out with my friends on Saturday night, and I said, guys, I got to go. My new job is sending me to Paris in the morning. I got to wake up early. Everyone's like, no, Paris? They're sending you to Paris? I'm like, Texas, which is a very different place. So that was, I used to go a lot more. We do these regional workshops now where I get to go, and instead of just meeting with one particular site and going to them, we set up kind of regional learning workshops and events that I've been kind of spearheading for our company because it's a way to get a lot of different folks in the room and talking to each other about some challenges that they're all experiencing and some ways that they've come up with solutions to address them. So that helps us get to know, what people are dealing with in the industry, and then for them to meet people too. So that's more so of the traveling that I do these days instead of going to particular sites. And then the conferences, of course.
So when it comes to, these engagements, you're at an event like this, Streamline, or some of the other ones we've talked about before. What do you think, like lately, is kind of the most common thing that people bring to you as challenges that they're facing that they do in fact need help with?
Yeah, a really easy talking point is two things that Allied does that are just such an easy way for us to get into the door with a customer and gain some trust is our training. The need for training is just rampant. I mean, you had COVID, which, you had a need for surge staffing, which we do recruiting and staffing out of a just dire need from our consulting customers that we were helping out. They're like, yeah, all this sounds great, but what's the process without the people to run it? And they didn't have those people. So kind of ties into the training aspect because people are retiring. A lot of people retired during COVID because that was just their ticket out. And then you're looking at a new wave of people coming into the manufacturing space, and they're hiring people right out of college, or they're moving people from a technician position into the, they're being voluntold to be a reliability engineer, and we hear that time and time again. Oh, it's kind of just this title was given to me, but I don't know the first thing about reliability, but what does reliability mean for our company specifically? So we do a lot of training for those reasons, to bring the new wave of people up to speed, to learn from the people that have been at the company for 30 years. They know exactly what the equipment sounds like when they should be doing this certain thing or task or activity, but it's not documented anywhere. And so trying to close that gap. So those are the two kind of trends that we hear the most that are just an easy way in for us to come in and fix, gain some trust, and say, if it's a staffing issue, if it's a direct hire, they don't have the leadership roles that they need to make change, then we can help them fill those roles, and then we can help them get trained and up to speed so that they are aware of what they need to be doing in that new role.
Well, and it's almost like this is the main thing we always hear about, and this is probably for your 4 years plus a very common thing. So it's not just recently, like I said, hey, what's the latest? That doesn't go away because other things come in and disrupt what their process was. You might even go in, get them going really well, and then they have some changes, they lose a champion or whatever. Mm-hmm. And then when it comes to the way Allied partners with, for example, Hexagon, it's where they're going to leverage this technology. You've verified maybe that they've got their people and process kind of dialed in, but now they got to turn the corner into adopting that. You guys help with that too, and how they do the setups and everything?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think details to follow kind of on how that's all going to work. But ideally, we just have so much information that Allied's been built on. Our company's been so successful because we've had 30 years of experience in the industry and have gained that credibility through our name. And we have the tools in-house, but we know that we're going to be better off to leverage our partners to improve our capabilities and tools and software solutions that we have, because we do so many things as a company. And so how can we all help each other to give our customer base, all of our customers, the best foot forward, instead of all having to be the very best at each of these things.
Right. So kind of really the older version of what partnerships were, where you're like, hey, we can work with them, we're going to help them help their customers, they're helping us help our customers, and so on and so on and so on. I mean, that's good stuff, and I think a lot of people say it, but it's not the easiest thing to do. You just have to stay intentional about it.
Yeah, I mean, you have your day-to-day that you're responsible for, so it takes a lot of work and a lot of cadence calls, and it can be tiresome, but at the end of the day, I mean, that's exactly why Shell Lubricants purchased our company a while ago, is because we had the name and the credibility behind us, and they wanted a more roundabout solution to bring to their customers instead of just, hey, we sell lubricants, but now we have a company that can help you with the service portion of it, and to come with a holistic view of what maintenance and reliability looks for your company.
That is, I've talked to a lot of people here in the last, I guess at this point, couple of days. That's the one thing I'm hearing from several people about that holistic view of things, that it's not just a singular thing, it's not just one approach, but you got to consider all aspects of it, especially from a maintenance and reliability perspective. Mm-hmm. Whereas for me, I try to be open that I'm not that expert, but I'm kind of interested in learning little by little and eventually get a CMRP and all that. So it's kind of fun for me to not know, but know just a little bit, and then I like to avoid the buzzwords and just have real conversations like this. You won't get any of these wrong because there's no wrong answer. So we're just going to knock them out real quick.
Okay.
Fun question number 1. What is your favorite music?
Music, indie rock, but I love old time underground house music, house and techno.
Nice.
They're tied.
Nice. Cool. Have you ever heard of, well, there's no way. It's called Mars Radio. It was a radio station a long time ago. They had all kinds of that stuff.
Really?
Yeah. You can find it on the internet. There's a bunch of people that put stuff out. Fun question number 2. What is your favorite sport or hobby? I think I know the answer, but what's your favorite sport or hobby? And it doesn't have to be one you play.
Well, being a D1 soccer player, and I still play to this day, but I grew up on the beach, and so we would have practices twice a week just on the beach. And I still play on the beach with my friends all the time. So that's something that we all look forward to in the spring and summer, is just getting out there and getting burnt to a crisp and playing for hours at a time and then jumping in the water. So that's probably my go-to.
Cool. Love it. And fun question number 3. This is the big one. No wrong answers here. What is your philosophy, perspective, opinion, anything at all when it comes to this concept of work-life balance?
That's actually a really important aspect. I started out doing a totally different job after I got my master's degree, and I knew from the very start of it that this was not going to give me the quality of life that I wanted to, and it was still in manufacturing, but I was at the site and all day, every day, and it was a 6 a.m. bus ride home at 7 p.m. And I just knew that in order to, the way that I work, the way that I live my life or want to live my life, and the quality time that I want to spend with my friends and family, I could never do that doing that job. So I just think that's the most important thing. I'm a millennial, and so I think we've valued our time way more, and we say no to things more, and I think there's a lot of people that would envy that didn't necessarily live their life that way. But I think it's important just to, my family lives by the motto, 5 good years left. And just if you always act like you only have 5 good years left, then you'll say yes to everything, and you'll live your life to the fullest. And you do a good job at your work, and you make sure that people respect you and that you do your job well. But there is a certain time where, that's not important anymore. And you have what, the people around you are the most important. So
I love it. So it's official. You have finally been on CMMS Radio. We're here live at Streamline Asset Management User Conference. Amelia, thank you for being on CMMS Radio.
Thanks for having me. I hope I made sense.
Sure you did.
Did you find this episode helpful? Please send us some feedback, suggest a topic, or ask a question. Reach out to CMMS Radio if you need a co-pilot on your CMMS project. Visit CMMSradio.com and use the What's on Your Mind link. Thank you for tuning in to CMMS Radio, your resource for all things CMMS, from selection to implementation, to help you make better choices, learn from industry experts, and have a successful CMMS journey.